So I'd like to start off by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land in which we meet today and pay my respects to the elders past, present and emerging. So I'd like to say that I'm speaking on behalf of my research team here today from RRAP, including Professor Karen Vella, who you'll also be hearing from later today. Okay, how do I get to the next slide? There we go. So I just wanted to start off with some context to this RRAP engagement advisory group and why it was established. So the whole point of the advisory group was really to improve stakeholder capacities and also foster benefits amongst the reef community. And so I'm going to show you a very short video in the next slide, which you'll hear from some of the advisory group members, and they're going to talk a little bit about their experience. So hopefully this works. Okay, and it looks like it's not working. I'm just going to try and press play, but if it doesn't work, it's okay. I'll just talk for a little bit longer. Nope, that's okay. Sorry about that. So this is an overview of the study site. So we've got a map here. So two of the researchers on this team, including myself, we conducted a series of semi-structured interviews with the advisory group members. So we went from along the Queensland coast, all the way from Cooktown up in far north Queensland down to Redland Bay in southeast Queensland. So we conducted a total of 12 interviews with these advisory group members. So we recorded the interviews, we got participant consent, we transcribed the interviews using AmberScript software. We then analysed these interviews using thematic content analysis in NVivo 14 software. And we also relied on some results that we got from an initial literature review, and we used that to help organise the coding structure during analysis. So, a little bit about the participants in the advisory group. So there was an equal gender representation between women and men. People came from a diverse range of different industry backgrounds, including coral aquaculture, tourism, reef management and policy, and more. There was also a bridging of both Indigenous and non-Indigenous perspectives within the advisory group, which included traditional owners in the process. People also came from a range of different levels of experience in environmental governance. So there were some members that had a lot more experience in being a part of advisory groups and committees and other processes for 20 to 30 years, whereas there were some members that were relatively new to this process. People also came with a range of different motivations. As you can see from the figure here, we organised those into altruistic motivations, such as caring for the reef. People came with a lot of passion for reef restoration. They wanted to make a difference. We also had learning motivations, so people were very interested in learning about RRAP, what they're doing, reef science, technologies, and climate change. And finally, there were self-development motivations, and so these were kind of regarding people wanting to establish collaborations with other people from different industry backgrounds. So, on to the results. So there were numerous social benefits that people got out of the advisory group program. So the first one we can see there is social relationships and networking. So people really appreciated the opportunity to establish new connections with other people in the advisory group from different industries, and also got some friendships out of it along the way. Another one was shared understanding. So people really mentioned the opportunity to come together to meet people with different diverse knowledges and perspectives, learning from one another to reach a common goal and to reach a collective understanding together. And the key benefit here was really helping, some people describe this as a really eye-opening experience to understand those different perspectives and create a more holistic understanding of all of the stakeholders involved in reef restoration. Another key benefit was new knowledge. So we organised this in two types of knowledge. So one of them was related to knowledge on reef science and technologies, but also another knowledge category was also traditional knowledge, and so the cultural understanding and Indigenous science aspect as well. So another key benefit was confidence as well. So people gained confidence from the advisory group to join other committees and also environmental governance processes in reef restoration. People also got some new skills out of it, so skills in how to participate in advisory groups, how to navigate the group work processes together, and how to collaborate with different people. And finally, regional exposure was another benefit that people mentioned. So being able to include people from regional areas and also communicate findings from RRAP to other regional areas and local community groups within those areas. So, in addition to finding out these social benefits, we were also interested in looking at the drivers behind these benefits. So what were the specific aspects or elements of the advisory group processes which really fostered these benefits? I won't go through all of them today, I'll just go through a few. So for example, with social relationships and networking, people mentioned that the inclusion of social activities outside of the actual meetings was really important for establishing these new relationships, networking, but also strengthening existing relationships as well. And I remember one quote from an interviewee was, "That's where the real work gets done, outside of the meetings and in these over sharing food together, sharing dinner together." Face-to-face meetings was also really important. So there were a combination of in-person meetings, but also webinars in these advisory group meetings. And so meeting face-to-face was really helpful for establishing these connections. In terms of knowledge, of course, learning about traditional knowledge wouldn't be possible without the inclusion of traditional owners in the group. And when it came to reef science and technologies, people said that the scientific presentations from RRAP and also the visits to reef centres were really valuable for increasing people's knowledge. So this is one of the quotes from the interviewees. So I'll just let you have a second to read that. But essentially this is to provide some context into what people were saying. And this one in particular is linked to social relationships and networking, but also talking about how doing these field trips together also contributed to the effectiveness of the advisory group process and reaching the overall outcomes. Okay, so just to wrap that up, the advisory group members got a range of different benefits out of the advisory group, namely professional networks and also a shared understanding. This was linked to things like the diversity. Having a really diverse group was one of the core strengths of the advisory group which interviewees mentioned. Also the face-to-face meetings and social activities. And finally, this links back to the overall goal of the RRAP Engagement Advisory Group, which was that stakeholder engagement can really build capacity amongst the Reef community and foster benefits. And in return, this can lead to better outcomes, more equitable and sustainable outcomes for reef restoration overall. So thank you very much for listening. Sorry about the technical difficulties. I'm happy to answer any questions if we have time, if not over lunch.
So thanks, Jasmine. We've got time for a couple of questions.
Great.
What about online? Anyone?
All right. All good. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I knew this would happen. I was a bit worried about it, but yeah, that's all right. I tried my best. Okay. Well, if that's all, thank you very much.
Thank you.